level. Next level. Next level. Next level.
Good evening and welcome to this VCN stream. I'm Riley Harvey and this is the PRT Handicap race. It's a regular Thursday event that we cover on Thursdays on the RGT cycling platform, and it takes part at 7 p.m. GMT time every Thursday. Fantastic event. Thoroughly encourage you to get involved and to take part. This is a brilliant event in the fact that it is handicapped, so everyone should work out their weight for this event using a formula, which is your FTP, a recent FTP, divided by 3.2, and that will give you your weight to enter in game for this particular event. It's the only event in the racing world where it's actually okay to fudge your weight. Any other event, don't do it, use your real weight. But in this event, then you can change your weight. I would encourage you to take part, because with the change of your weight, it means that you will be more competitive. You will keep place with those guys who usually fly off the front. You'll be able to keep up with them because you'll be lighter. This event that we're doing tonight is going to be straight into a hill. We're in Mallorca, an absolute mecca for cyclists. Fantastic place to go. If you haven't already been there, get yourself over there, hire a bike, take your bike with you. The cycling's fantastic. The tarmac's flat, smooth. There's beautiful cafes all over the place, fantastic scenery, and it's a really nice place to spend some time. Not to mention the beaches and the food. Oh, I could put on about 15 kilos in a week. So we've got on the chat, live chat tonight, we've got Falk Levian, Matthias Fishback and K2Let already chiming in. I'm sure there's more of you out there. We are covering all of the social media channels, and if you hear me going a bit mute for a moment or two, or a bit vacant, it's because I'm trying to keep up with all the chat that's coming in. We are underway. An electric start. They usually are in these shorter events. You know, most of the PRT handicap races only last about an hour. As we are into this first climb already, going up to 10%, and we're around the Sola region. Port Sola is a fantastic area to ride as well. I've been out to Mallorca and have rode down the Tramuntana mountain range. So there's a company called Mallorca Shuttle Bus. They run a service where basically they'll come and pick you up from all over the island, take you down to Andrax, and then you can ride all the way from Andrax down the coast on this fantastic mountainous road back to Piensa, stopping off at loads of cafes and places along the way. It goes through Yuc. The last week the race went to Yuc, the PRT handicap race went to Yuc, but you'll find that there are loads of places to stop off. Sola is a fantastic place to stay, and there's loads of excellent climbs. Biggest climb on the island is Puig Major. Not my favourite climb. It's a little bit samey, really. You're in the hills, you can't see very much. But the rest of the climbs you can go. Sola, there's a climb down to the Sola, the Port Sola. One of the most famous climbs on the island is Sacalobra, which is just an immense climb. You go up to Col del Reis, through the arches there from near the reservoir, and then you drop down to the little fishing village of Sacalobra. You stop, have a nice coffee, maybe a little bite to eat, and then you have to will yourself to go up the hairpins all the way back up. But the views that are going back up there are fantastic. So that's enough of me talking about Mallorca. You'll see from this climbing now that it is a nicely challenging place, but it's not killer. As Alonso has taken the lead in the race here. Alonso followed by Moles and Martins and Jorigi, and then there's Van Horenbach. So this front group is a new group to me. I think they're all new names. Martins has raced in this race before, I think, sorry. And possibly Alonso too. But Your Eagle there is another new name at the back of this group. 5th place in this group. Or in the Canyon Esports top, I think. Falk Levian just chiming in that this course looks fun. It is a nice course. Good, challenging ride. Works well to the handicap because the handicap works best on the climbs. But as we go over the top, those riders who have put on weight for this event will benefit slightly by descending faster. We've got just dropping back from this group now. Leave this group to battle out for a little bit at the front. And just congratulations to Falk Levian, who is in on the chat. Falk Levian has recently done the 5 monuments in 5 days. Find him on Strava. Give him a bit of Strava stalking, a bit of Strava love as well. And you'll see the amount of climbing, the amount of racing that he's done in over 5 days. It's been fantastic. So, dropping back, Van Horenbach is dropped out of that front group slightly. 150 meters to go. And then we've got a bigger group here, just closing in on Horenbach there. We've got KN Nikodemiak, Ian Hurst riding his Buffalo bike proudly. And then Anzac. And then just at the back of this group, we've got Chris Bancross. Chris Bancross recently increased his FTP and is now carrying a 19 kilogram penalty into this race. But his FTP is creeped up over the 300 mark, which is fantastic. And we've got Wardak. David Brookhuizen leading this group here. And then we've got Muzz. Darren Ray. Darren's a regular in these events. He's recently adjusted his front derailleur so he doesn't suffer from as many chain drops as he was doing. He's been riding fantastically and been making some good progress in these races. Dan Benson and Kennedy. I was just saying that about Darren Ray, and he's just dropped slightly from this group. Sota. Trying to self into this group, and Darren's just dropping slightly. He's putting in a 6 kilogram effort there to tag back on. I hope I haven't jinxed him there by mentioning the chain drops. He did just drop like a brick out of the back of this group, back up near the front. And Wayne, popular rider in these events. Wayne's leader of the Wayne train. He puts down phenomenal amounts of watts from out the start grid and tends to fade when he gets to the hills. Suffers a little bit with the weight penalties. And just looking into the distance there, you can see how Magic Roads has really rendered a fantastic course here. As we're going up the climb, you can see the wall up to the right hand side there, very much as you'd see it in real life. Barren walls, and these trees kind of reminiscent to the Mallorcan countryside. You can smell the sap coming off them. It's almost like a kind of an incense hanging in the air. It's clears your windpipes and helps you to ride a little bit faster. We've got Jones in 20th position there. We're dropping back to Will Usher. Will Usher, the man who orchestrates these races, and the main reason that we all put ourselves through this sort of pain, because he comes up with such good courses and this format that he runs every Thursday night. It just brings everybody with a little bit of challenge. Will just catching back up to Wayne there. There's Jones just edges off the front. We're not too far off cresting this climb now. And then we've got Ben Lowe. Not too far behind Harriet Rowstone. And DK. Behind him we've got Isator. Isator, the Moonriders. Moonriders been doing a fantastic series just recently. They've been doing the Return of the Heroes, which has been running The 7-day series, 5 of the 7 counted. They're just about to release the Moonriders Heroica 2nd season, which I think is starting on the 12th of April. Encourage everybody to take part in the Moonriders events. They're a fantastic group of guys, and they have their own team. If you're looking for a team, if you're not got a team yet on the RGT platform, then they're good guys to hook up with. Make a lot of events happen. And we've got Forster with Alori. Further down, of course, we've got Butler. And there's a group of Cook, Silva, Van de Vriek, Paredes, Fernando. And a little drop back to Steenhage, Baz and Davidson, Alves, Bev Usher, Will's father, partnering up there with Podrazka. We'll just drop back a little bit further and see if we've got any other live riders in the race. They've got, I think that's possibly Carl Unsworth. Fresno. And then we've a big group of Team Pace bots. Will puts in a big group of Pace bots. So that anyone that's caught out at the start line, or is just riding for enjoyment, really, they're just going at their own pace. They've got some bots to ride with, keep pace with. And then we've got Boykov. And we've a rider there, Gazizian, who appears to have stopped. So we're going to fly back up to the front end of this race. It's kicking off on the downhill. It's got Moles and Martens who are riding off the front of this group. And Yorigi just behind with Hubel, looking to bridge back across. So just mention that the racers, we are all supposed to have adjusted our weights using the formula mentioned before, which is your recent FTP divided by 3.2, gives you your weight for this event. But some riders just jump into the event without realizing it's a handicap race and don't realize that. So Will goes through the results at the end of the course, and he adjusts the podium to reflect those riders that have forgotten to adjust their weight. So we do get a revised podium at the end of the event. And more importantly, we race for the Combativity Award. The Combativity Award has been brought into this event and been made one of the major targets of this event, which is basically it's who's the most combative rider, as the name illustrates. But in this event, that could be pacing your teammates all the way through the event, could be doing a bridge to a group in front that was looking like it was going to be unobtainable, or it could be, making a big break, being the man that broke the group, was continually attacked till the group falls apart. So we got group dropping down at the front here. We've got Moles, Hubel, Yorigi and Martens. And Alonso, who was in that group's now isolated. They've got a 77 meter gap. And then the next group back is just trying to catch up with Van Horenbach. Van Horenbach was in that group in front, and they've also dropped back now as well. They're just near being caught by Benson, Bancroft and Kayan. Real challenging group this. Benson's came into the PRT events probably only about 2 months ago, and the first event that they did, they just lit it up. They were in the front group all the way through and kept getting dropped, but yo-yoing back onto the group, and they've been challenging or been in the mix ever since. Bancross is recently just increased his weight handicap. He's up to 19 kilograms on his weight handicap, but a very canny rider, Bancross. He knows how to use the drafting in RGT and when to time his brakes, so you need to keep an eye out for Bancross. He's a rider that will certainly choose his moment to attack. Another little point about the handicap races is that, unlike some of the races that are just basically a steady state affair, because all of the riders are very close to their max with the 3.2 watt per kilogram normalizing, then it's important for the riders to use the terrain to judge when they're going to attack with the hills that will suit them. And yeah, they need to judge when they're going to attack with the hills that will suit them, and perhaps on the corners, because there's auto braking on the corners in RGT. So if you're descending into a corner and you get auto braked, it may be a good point to apply the power just as the auto braking's fading, so that you rocket out of that corner and open a gap upon your pursuers. Matthias Fishback is just commenting that he's had to mute the PRT Discord group. PRT Discord group's a fantastic group. So there is a live running Discord group for these PRT events. It's noted on all of the media, and there's lots of heavy breathing that goes on in that group. A lot of heavy breathing. Quite often there's some swearing as well. I can imagine that there'll be some choice words being used to describe Will as this hill continues to climb. We're up at 8% now. So yeah, not the best group to join if you're not keen on the occasional swear word. See Ian Hurst coming round that hairpin there, and we just saw the chase groups back on the road. Got Kennedy coming around there. We can see a group going up that the road. Kennedy, Brookhusen, Nicodemiak, Anzac, Muzz. That's Ian Murray and Wardak. And DK coming round this hairpin. Just taking a zoom out here so you can see that the beauty of the road that's been created by the RGT. It's inbuilt sort of AI that's created this route and these features. Let's see the Usher group coming around there. Usher with Darren Ray in that group as well, and Wayne, Harriet Rosethorn and Ben Lois, a strong group as well. On this descending section, we're going to have a descent and then a flatter section towards the end of this course. This is going to be a strong group to watch. Darren Ray and Wayne have got good power on the flat, and so is Will as well. Be interesting to see how they close down on that group in front of them. Just dropping back, we've got Harriet Rosethorn, heart rate up at 174. Not all of the riders wearing heart rate monitors. If you are racing across the RGT platform, not just in this event, in a range of events, I would encourage you to invest in a heart rate monitor. They are quite cheap now. There's I think it's COO Sports, COO Sports, that make a Bluetooth monitor available through eBay. It's one of the lesser known brands, but from reports in Facebook groups, etc., they're quite reliable. Not got the prestige of, say, the Wahoo Ticker or the Garmin, but you don't need prestige. No one's going to see you in your garage. You just want your heart rate showing up there. And the reason I mention it, if you're in an event where you're doing well, quite often the event organisers will ask for additional details to prove your performance, especially if you're in the top 3. And heart rate is quite an easy metric to look at. If your avatar's going faster and your heart rate's going up, it's quite easy to see that things are going as they should. If your avatar's going faster and your heart rate's going down, then that would lead people to look into what's happening there. And while we're on the subject of racing, there is eBio Passport, which you can access through rgtdb.com, which is an online verification system where you can go on there, you can add in your weight, you can add in real life performances, just to show that you can do the sort of speeds that you do in the virtual world. As RGT is becoming more competitive, a lot of the organisers are looking at these extra features to verify performances of the riders, and just to make sure that they're competitive and not being won by someone who's decided that they're going to have a crash diet that day and just adjusting their figures. But Brookhuizen now in 15th position. He's trying to catch up with Muzz in front, Ian Murray, who's dropped off the group in front of them, and DK went across to Brookhuizen. Three there. See Brookhuizen back, threatening to catch, with DK just getting to the wheel of Brookhuizen there. Up at the front of the race, we've got Moles, who's come over the top of the hill and is descending rapidly, being chased by Hubble and Martens, and Yorigi is in that group as well. Looking at some of the powers on this group, I suspect that this group of riders will actually end up being disqualified at the end of the race. They are frequently going way above that 3.2 watt per kilogram normalization. Just drop back from this group, see the rest of the riders. Got Alonso there, just on the flat section, just crested the top of the climb and onto a brief flat section. And then we've got Benson, Horenbeek, Bancroft and Cahan's managed to catch up to this group as well. So Cahan and Bancroft managed to catch this group. Horenbeek. Bancroft goes through to the front. Bancroft realising possibly that he's carrying that extra weight and he'll benefit from this descending. Benson's just distanced slightly. Don't want to get distance at this point, Benson. You're going to miss all that drafting benefit. Benson there, just coming down. He needs to use this next green section of flatter terrain to really catch in these riders and get into the draft. If we jump forward, you can see there with Cahan, he's saving 800 watts there briefly in the wheel of Bancroft. 400, 200. He's coming through into the front now. Bancroft now is saving that. Benson still getting some saving now. He's up at 200 watt saving. Catches back up with the group and he's able to ease slightly. Massive watt savings to be had there if you're in the draft on a downhill. Come up to one of these very tight hairpins. Riders looking a bit uncomfortable going through that one. We're away again down this descent, and it's starting to flatten out now. Benson takes the lead and pushes Van Horenbeek. Following the wheel of Cahan, it's just slightly distanced there. Having a little bit of a yo-yo effect. Those lead riders are way in front. They're a kilometre out in front now. Coming round. Horenbeek out in the front. It's a 2-lap race this tonight. 2 times around this circuit, 2 times up these climbs. 660 meters total elevation climb. It's one of the highest elevations on the PRT handicap events. We'll drop back and see how some of the other riders are faring on this event. So Ian Hurst doing fantastically tonight. He's up in 10th position. He's 500 meters behind that group who were just following momentarily. 200 meters in front of Anzac, Nicodemiak, EK and Kennedy. Be interesting to see whether Ian manages to hold that group off. Ian's a frequent flyer with the PRT Thursday handicap races here very, very often. Proud to be sporting his Buffalo bike tonight, which for those who aren't aware, the Buffalo bike is a reward that was given to riders that completed the Everesting Challenge in RGT during the month of January. Slightly different Everesting Challenge to some of the classic the Everesting, in that it was done over the course of a month, and the idea was basically it wasn't so much about the Everesting, it was just to bring awareness to the World Bicycle Relief Fund and the efforts and what they do basically. And seeing the Buffalo bike with its very slow cadence and its very unusual look and the very upright riding position of the rider that's on it, really does bring awareness to that cause every time that you see it. Ian giving us a shout out there, giving us a wave. See, Ian is also wearing the Team 3R jersey there, which is a World Bicycle Relief jersey. And I think the 3Rs in Team 3R is Ride, Race and Raise, which is a bit of a nod to the fact that they are supporting the charity all the way through there. So, going back down the field, Nicodemiak there, Ian Murray and DK, with Anzac in this group as well. Kennedy going through it. It's just lifting slightly. Brookhuizen slightly isolated. A dangerous point to be here. He's got a long way on this flat section now. 15.1 kilometers of this race still remaining. And Jones and Wardak, 17th, 18th position. We've got Wayne. Pushed on a little bit from the group of Usher, Rosethorn and Lowe. Isator in this group as well. So Wayne's got a big engine. Pushing 240 watts there on front. Will goes through to take a lead. Will's up at 270. Keep this pace up for some time, these riders. Darren Ray with De Soto there. Darren was up in that lead group, but seemed to have lost power a couple of times. I'm not sure why. May have been having a technical tonight, or may have been having some issues with his front derailleur again. Puts the power down now, Darren, in this section. Sota into a little bit of trouble there. Sota having to catch back onto his wheel. So we are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and a number of other platforms. Encourage you, all of the messages that you send on those platforms come back to the VCN Central. So any comments that you make, I can see those and we'll respond to them. If you want us to focus in on a particular rider, explain something about the metrics, all the information that you can see on the screen, we're happy to do that. Please do get in touch, tell us who you think is going to win the combativity award from what you've seen so far, and tell us who you think is going to win the race overall. Not sure who my shout is for combativity at the moment, but Darren's looking a bit aggressive as we're watching his riding style here. Darren pulls away from De Soto there. He's got 100 meters to go to the group in front of him, and he can see them now. Perhaps that's what's making him keep on putting those little extra bursts in. We're now at the bottom of the climb again. Climb that we started this race on. Just into the early sections of the slope. And we see the start finish line there coming through. And Isator has stopped there. I don't know whether he's thought that was the end of the race or whether he just was in for one lap. We are definitely in for a 2-lap race now. We've got 13.6 kilometers remaining and around about 330 more meters of elevation. As we see Steenhage there coming back to this group, 23rd, and rolling through to the front. Yep, Isator just saying goodbye and thank you to the organisers. Valori and Fernando are there. Forster and Butler, 27th to 28th. And then we've got Cook with Silva and Baz. Yeah. Yeah, Shrek's just giving a shout out to Wayne there. Wayne's his hero. Wayne pushes Big Watts. Shrek's no stranger to Big Watts himself, although not seeing him as much as we'd like in the PRT handicap races just recently. We've got Alves, Van der Vriek, Unsworth, riding between groups. Fresno, Paredes. Got back through a few of the bots as we've got there. Modradska. And Bev there dropped a few positions to those bots as we've been going over these climbs. And I'm sure we'll recover them. Davidson there, I think it's the first time we've seen Davidson. Must have missed them on the earlier run through. We've got Buykov there. We'll fly back up to the front. As we see Yorigi there now. Takes the lead from Hubel, Moles and Martens. Coming up to the crest of this climb again. Once was not enough. We need to do it twice. Fuel back to the wheel. But 8% on that hairpin. Martins. Moles. And the group of K and Bankers and Van Horenbach. As this climb's progressed, they've clawed back some of the distance on the lead group, but I suspect that will open straight back up again as they go over the top of the climb. K and Bankers, Horenbach here. Benson dropped from that group. Now 140 meters back, 125 meters in front of Ian Hurst. Ian there into his red power band. That's the red power band underneath the name indicates the amount above FTP that these riders are going to. And there's only one more power band above the red, which is the bright red, the reserved for sprint efforts, very short periods of time. Based on the Coggins 7 stages. Stages? Correct phrase. See Kennedy there being caught by DK once again. Anzac, Nicodemiak. Murray a little bit further back there. That group there of Kennedy, DK, Anzac, Nicodemiak just being stretched a little bit. I'm sure Murray was in there with them earlier on. Murray now threatened to be closed down by Jones and Brockhusen. Brockhusen now back into 15th position. Oh, fantastic. Shrek's just mentioning that he's 2 more weeks of his shift work and then he's back onto PRT Thursdays. Start lighting this race up. Show everybody what they've been missing. Back with Will Usher. Usher's group there just being blown apart a little bit by this incline. Give Wayne some airtime now. He pushes to get back to the wheel of Ben Lowe. Not much drafting advantage to be had on these slopes. Up at 5.5% and speeds down to around about 13 kilometers per hour. There's not much drafting advantage at all. You have to be within a couple of meters of the rider in front, and even then you may be lucky if you're getting 10 watts. But they all count. That 10 watts could be the 10 that you need on your sprint at the end of the race. Gap's just steadily increasing between this little group. Usher pushes on, trying to get back to the wheel of Jones, we suspect. Hopefully he'll get back to Jones before they crest this climb. They'll go over it together. As we were saying earlier, there's a lot of advantage, a lot of benefit to being descending in a group. Brockhusen not too far in front either, so this may be a little bit of a reshuffling of the groups as Usher makes it back to Jones, and then potentially the 2 of those riders make it back to Brockhusen's wheel and they all go over together. A little bit of flattening here. Usher up over 300 watts. The gradient just sticks again up to 9.4%. Sheer cliffs up in front of us. Catch is made to the wheel of Jones. Say that, no drafting advantage currently. No drafting benefit. Slots in behind and we save a massive 7-8 watts. Jones and Usher there. You can see Brookhuizen too far into the distance. He's only 67 meters away. Group of these three riders would definitely benefit from descending together as Brookhuizen goes around that hairpin. 12%. Murray is just in front as he's slowed purposefully. Finishing little kick on the hairpin there as Wayne's made it back to that group. Ben Lowe comes around, hits that 12% gradient, stops dead. He's distanced from that group. Looks like Wayne's made it back. And Jones. Murray just dangling off the front there. Not on the team Discord tonight, but I wonder whether Murray has offered up his wheel to his teammates. Brookhuizen, steady gap, still at 65 meters there in front. If you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, if you could take a moment just to like and subscribe on the videos, that'd be fantastic. If you're on Facebook, we have got the VCN Facebook page. If you could give us a follow, just all helps to give us the encouragement, keep bringing these streams to you and bring the other news and information that we bring to the RGT platform. And hopefully we're going to bring a little bit more content from some other locations in the near future as well. Just see Will Usher there, just being dropped now by Wayne, who Wayne was earlier dropped. Him brought back up. That's the wheel of Jones, and just fragmenting slightly as it comes to the crest of this climb. Always a difficult point here as you're just trying to find the right gear to get over the top. Should see Usher, Murray and Wayne quickly catch up to Jones here. Trio descending, sharing the work and sharing that drafting benefit. Tight hairpins. Small plateau section. Back descending. Usher takes the lead. Murray stays in the back of the group, enjoying the drafting benefit. Not too far before the final climb, with 500 meters covered, so we have another 160 left to go for these riders, and that will really be challenging to get over that last climb. But it's not just one more climb, it's one more climb and then a sustained period. I'd say it's false flat. It's certainly not an aggressive gradient, but I think it is generally uphill towards the end of this race. We'll fly forward to the riders who are leading this race. They're halfway through the final climb. But Yurigi there at the front, followed by Hubble, Martens and Moles. Be a lot of out of saddle efforts this evening by these riders. Don't be confused by the lap counter up on the top left hand corner, just above the riders' names. That's the lap that my avatar is on. I have to have my avatar in the race to be in here with the camera. But these riders are on the final lap, coming up to the end of this race. They've got 5.9 kilometers remaining, significantly in front of the other riders on the race. This group's around about 1 kilometer in front of the other riders, which is the group that we're going to drop back to now, as Mold is being dropped from this group. Martin's looking as well like he's struggling to hold the wheel of Hubel and Urigi there. Hubel down in his green power band, Urigi is in yellow. So they're not just putting out as much effort as Martin's is having to close down the wheels there. And Mole's up in the red and he's being distanced, so he's not got as much power to throw down on the road as these riders in front have. Van Horenbeek is just opening up a small gap on the riders of Bancroft and KN there. Around about 12 meters in front of Bancroft. KN just looks like he's going to try and close that gap down to Horenbeek. Not happy about the pace that Bancroft is setting. Wanting to make sure that Horenbeek doesn't get away on the front, open up too much of a gap. Bancroft responding to that, closing down the wheel. KN. Benson, he's back in 8th position, but he's holding a steady pace here. The group in front is increasing slightly there at 200 meters, 225 in front of him, but he has held Ian Hurst off. Ian Hurst having a storming race tonight, in 9th position, 110 meters behind Benson. That's fantastic going. I think that Benson's going to manage to hold that gap. Benson has a higher overall pass. I think he's going to benefit when he goes onto the flat. Ian Hurst falling slightly better on the hills. Benson now 7.7% gradient there briefly, and 6.2 kilometers remaining for the course. 170 meters climb, so he's got another 90 meters to go. I think around about 75 of that are remaining on this climb, and the rest is on the run-in finish line. So, any shouts up for combativity awards? I think we've got to give Ian Hurst and Benson. Drop back to DK there. Ian Hurst holding the gap there, 330 meters away from DK. DK's broken away from Nicodemiak and Anzac and Kennedy. You look back and you've got Brookhuizen here, who's just not flying, but he's managing to hold off the group of Wayne and Jones, Usher and Murray, and that's no mean feat. Brookhuizen's just setting a steady tempo. His heart rate's up at 178. Hour of 3 watts per kilogram. You can see his power graph in the top left hand corner, how consistent it's been going up this climb. Group behind just charges up. And this for David is going to be really a painful moment, 'cause even if he doesn't get caught, oh, he's been caught by Wayne. Sorry, Wayne just surged and caught Brookhuizen there and carries on powering off in front. Oh, Brookhuizen overtaken by Wayne. Wayne, who was dropped earlier by the group of Usher and Jones, is now stomping his way to the top of this climb. Up at 3 watts per kilogram. Brookhuizen is caught by Muzz and Usher, who's just waning on the latter sections of this climb. Needs to stay in the wheels as we crest this climb, make sure that he gets the drafting benefit on the descent. See Wayne there, just being caught by Jones and past Brookhuizen, staying in the group. Usher at the back with Muzz. Ian Murray just behind him there. And Wayne goes again, taking the lead. Brookhuizen marshalling his efforts and staying in the wheels of Jones. I'm just going to fly forward because it's not too far now until the leaders of this race cross the finish line. I suspect that the more interesting race is going to be further back down the field, but we're just going to head forward to see Urigi, Moles and Hubel there with just 1.2 kilometers remaining. They've managed to drop Martens, who was with them for some time. Martens there, still in view of that lead group of riders, but the 3 riders working together on this flatter terrain. It's very doubtful that the riders will catch him back up. Hubel, Moles, Urigi there, tightly grouped. 870 meters remaining. See Hubel pushing on the front. Moles puts in an effort. 700 meters. I think we'll take an aerial view of this final section, see the sprint unfold. If it gives us a clearer view this evening of who is going to win from this group. Moles drops to the back, probably the best position to be at the moment. Hubel pushes and Hubel opens up. Hubel opens up their final sprint. 320 meters to go. Can they sustain it to the finish line? Moles is responding. Urigi is responding. But Hubel's going. Hubel is clear. Hubel's clear by 17 meters. Moles still pushing, but Hubel's up at a higher watts per kilogram. Are they going to continue to the finish line in the lead? Only 90 meters remaining. Moles still responding. Moles still pushing, but Hubel's made it. Hubel's made it, followed by Moles. And then in third position, Urigi, who has given up on that chase and is just rolling home. As we come through Finish line there. Origi in third position with Martins closing down that gap. So back now onto the race behind. 1.6 kilometers remaining. Van Horenbeek has been dropped by Bankers, and Bankers is just opening up the tanks. Bankers up at 377 watts on this flatter section. Used all his wile and cunning earlier in the race to save his watts, save his power, use that drafting benefit, and he's now opening up a gap on the rest of the field. Bankers now 54 meters in front of Van Horenbeek, and that gap just continuing to open. 4 watts per kilogram, 4.2 watts per kilogram there. Briefly from Bankers. Van Horenbeek distance Kayan slightly, but Kayan is with him. Van Horenbeek can't rest yet as Bankers continues applying the power. Bankers is often one of the riders in the top of the field. He's generally up in, well, near the podium position, but he's quite often one of the riders, when you analyze the results, is one of the riders with the lowest watts per kilogram. He really does know how to use the drafting algorithms in RGT to the best benefit, and to manage to hide in the groups and use the wheels to the best benefit. But that being said, if you think that you can force Bankers into doing the work on the front by slowing down, he has a vicious kick and sustainable power, so you have to be careful, because sometimes riders just ease off to allow Bankers to do the work on the front, and he just goes and doesn't come back. As we go now with 500 meters remaining, 350 watts now. And Bankers looking to secure a convincing 5th position here, but potentially, I think this could potentially be a win for Bankers. We're going to have to look at the results of that leading group of 4 and see where they stand on the handicapping. Bankers recently upped his FTP and has recently recalculated his weight for this event, so I'm fairly confident that Bankers will be within the watt per kilogram allowance. As Van Horenbeek is battling away with Kayan in the distance. Van Horenbeek distancing Kayan, and like he's going to come in for a secure 6th position unless Kayan can really keep the pressure on. Bankers into this final section and under the line at time of 56 minutes and 22. Fat Levian just commenting that the course has really done quite a job on the field, as Van Horenbeek comes over in 6th position, closely followed by Kayan. Fantastic job there under the precision coaching banner. Benson, great riding, not been caught, got dropped earlier on by that front group, that group that's just gone over the line, but has continued battling to maintain 8th position. Comes past Riley, flat rider, and he comes up to towards the finish line. 300 meters still to go. It can be very challenging, these races, when they turn into an individual TT. Just one final shout out for the Facebookers and the YouTubers. If you're on YouTube, if you could take a moment to like and subscribe. We are trying to get ourselves up to 1,000 viewers, 1,000 subscribers. It does help with the metrics on YouTube, helps to get RGT seen, helps to get our content seen more, and it lets us get a little bit of a boost on the quality as well. As Benson comes over the line in 8th position, as I say, I think these positions may be subject to a little bit of review when Will Usher goes through the results at the end of the race. Ian Hurst, fantastic riding, done really well to hold back the groups. DK's tried to chase him down, but his 300 meters clear wasn't quite strong enough to overhaul Ian Hurst. Wasn't quite strong enough to overhaul Benson this evening on the race, but done fantastically to hold position 9th this evening. Comes over with a little wave to the camera. DK 10th position. Seeing comments coming in the in-game chat now. Bankrest giving his congratulations to Kayan for a race well run. Kayan there giving it a shout back to Bankrest. In an amazing battle. Kayan saying is a great sprint from Bankrest at the end. His legs are burning. Kudos to Benson. And a couple of good nights. Bankrest saying it was an amazing comeback after the first climb to Benson. Can't cover all the race, unfortunately. We have to try and pick bits that are interesting and cover different sections as we go. Now back to the group on the road of Nicodemiak, Kennedy and Anzac. Kennedy going early with his sprint now. Anzac responding. Kennedy's managed to hold some in reserve there. Kennedy keeps going. Kennedy opening up a gap, 20 metres, but Nicodemiak has really laid down some power. Still got 90 metres left to go. Go around this bend. You can see the finish line now. And Nicodemiak's really coming back on Kennedy, but Kennedy's just managed to go at the right time. Nicodemiak didn't get into the draft quite early enough to slingshot round. I've got Murray, Brookhuizen and Usher. I'm going to give a shout for Usher on this final sprint here. Usher, an amazing amount of power left in the tank to unleash. Fantastic sprints from Usher. As Murray just goes with 260 metres. Murray on the lead there. Usher in the best position really to make the most of the drafting benefit. Who's going to go first? Usher goes. And it's Usher that puts down the power, 880 watts. Up at 900 briefly there. He's opened up a gap on Brookhuizen. Auto braking kicked in on the corner briefly as Usher's over the line, 14th position. Brookhuizen manages to drop Murray, comes through in 15th position. And then Murray just rolls it over the line. Nobody chasing. Comes over in 16th. And Jones, who was in that group earlier on, 70 metres still remaining, got dropped by that lead group of Usher, Brookhuizen and Murray. Comes over, 17th position. Wayne, being aggressive earlier on in the ride. It's great to catch back up to the group of Usher. Over in 18th position. Alori, 19th position. Forster behind. Got a safe finish here. He's going to come over in 19th position. Forster just left it a little bit too late to make his charge there. Still 60 metres remaining for Forster. Good sprint from Forster at the end there. Comes over in 20th with Steinhage just closing him down as well. Then we've got Ben Lowe and Harriet Rosethorn still together. Teammates, but will they come over the line together, or will it be one final push that you can win from this group? Alright, Rosethorn applying the pressure, opening a small gap on Ben. Perhaps she's just going to ride him off the wheel. Continues opening that gap. It's up to 8 metres now. Around this corner, you can see the finish line. Harriet opens up a sprint up at 300 watts. And Ben not responding. Ben comes over the line, 23rd position. Alves. '24th. And then with Fernando. Fernando clear, 200 metres in front of Darren Ray. No, over the line, 25th. Darren Ray, 26th position. As I said earlier on in the stream, Darren's a regular rider of the PRT handicap races and has been making phenomenal progress throughout the course of the season. Going from one of the back markers to now quite often being in the lead groups. more suited to the flatter courses, but doing great on this course this evening. We've got Butler in 27th position being chased down by Silver. Butler managing to hold Silver off here, 27th, and Silver in 28th. And then we've Vaz in 29th position. That's coming over the line there, 29th, and D'Souza in 30th position. D'Souza wearing the Evoke Bike Sports top there. Remember who that, well, it's Evoke Bikes obviously, but I don't remember that getting into the platform. There are some new tops arriving in the platform, or there's some new tops already arrived. Cube have introduced their new Thunderbirds top into the wardrobe for your virtual avatar. The throwback for a lot of us older riders to the Thunderbirds, the green, red, those are animated cartoons. They weren't cartoons, were they? Puppet shows of our childhood. The D'Souza comes over the line in 30th position. Final sprint there. Wardock. First position, sprint for the line, 950 odd watts there. And Cook, 80 meters. Don't forget to give a shout out, guys, for your favourite rider, your rider that you think deserves the Combativity Award. Seeing Paredes now coming over the line, 33rd position, 50 meters still to go. And Unsworth, 34th. As I say, I suspect that there's a chance that some of these riders will be getting a little bit of a boost up the rankings. Not necessarily, but possible, as we see Davidson now in 38th position. Some bots chasing down, but we're gonna hold that position, I think. But your most combative rider, they're the ones that get the awards tonight. Davidson comes over the line. Back for Bev, hopefully still out on the course. We've got Presno on this final run in, 1.3 kilometers remaining. Been chased down by a couple of bots. Mossy, nearest bot there. Presso. Presno chasing onto the bots in front. Not quite getting into the draft there. He's got a drafting benefit of 20 watts there, but eased off slightly. Just say thanks to all the viewers while still on. Thanks for everyone who contributed to the in-game chat. It's great having you involved and gives me something to talk about. I do manage to waffle for an hour, but sometimes the material wears a little thin. I can talk about Mallorca quite a lot. One of my favourite places to cycle, so it's easy to chat about things that you enjoy and you like. Fresno comes up, Stephanie and Coleman. sits into the draft there, saving 60 watts as we're going into the finish section. Only 630 meters remaining for Presno. Moment to recover, save a little bit of energy, and then drop Stephanie and Coleman on the final sprint in. So we see Mossy's making a little bit of ground. Presno, 330 meters remaining. Power up at 212. Just to take a moment there to mention that the power you could see for Presno briefly in the top left hand corner was going red. There's two reasons for that happening. So if you're on a corner in RGT, RGT applies braking for the corners. So it's if you see your power going red, it indicates that your speed is being adjusted as Presno comes over the line. Your speed's being adjusted for a corner. So RGT understands the fact that physics will not allow you to go around a hairpin corner doing 80-90 kilometers per hour on a descent. So it applies braking. Your power goes red. It doesn't reduce the power that you're producing, but it does modify the speed that your avatar travels at on the road, and it indicates it red to show that you're wasting power. So you can do one of two things there. You can continue wasting power, you can continue applying the power to the pedals and lose some of that power, or you can ease up on the power and have a little breather as Usher comes over the line. Drop back to Odradsky, who is coming up with 100 meters on the line. The other reason that it applies the red to the power is that you are riding into the back of a rider, and that's the instance where you've been drafting a rider perhaps. You're not applying enough power to overtake them as Vodrasky comes across, and we drop back to Buykov. You're not applying enough power to overtake that rider, but you're applying more power than you would be staying in the drafting pocket. It's a little bit of a tricky one in that if you pulled out, you'd just get blown backwards, so that they auto brake you to keep you in that pocket, force you into that pocket slightly. Not necessarily a popular feature in RGT, but it does work, and it's something that you've got to learn to adjust to ride with. You either need to pop down a little bit of power to get past that rider, or just ease off and enjoy the drafting benefit. Just getting Darren on the in-game chat there. Hi Darren, it's you're good racing again. I noticed your power dropped out briefly again. You're still having trouble with your drop chain, Darren? And Buykov not too far away from cresting this hill. Buykov, can't see quite what heart rate Buykov's running at. You can see that the power bar is down in the pale blue, so this would indicate that the rider is just down in their recovery area. It may be that Buykov has just jumped into this course to enjoy a little bit of company while they were having a recovery ride. If you're on RGT, if you're using the free version of RGT, one of the ways of exploring the rest of the world of RGT is to go to rgtdb.com. rgtdb.com lists hundreds or even possibly thousands of events that you can join. You can join any event, any race event, any group ride event on RGT for free as a free member, and it allows you to explore all of the magic roads, explore all of the other normally premium real roads, and just go around exploring. You don't have to sign up for the premium membership. Of course, I'll encourage you to, because it's what helps keep RGT improving. It keeps RGT moving forward and listening to its users and making adjustments. You know, without money, these programs cease to exist. But you know, if you're wanting to try RGT out and just find out whether it's for you, and using that little sort of kind of a cheat of going through the group rides and races features to explore the world is a great way of doing it. And nobody really cares on RGT if you just jump in to have a bit of a pootle at the back of the race. No one's going to shout at you for not joining in and being a part of the event. Just jump in and ride it and do what you want. Darren's just shouting that he's not had a chain drop. His chain's chain's all good now. He'd done some mechanicking over the past week just to adjust the front derailleur and make sure that it's suitable for, well, it's not dropping his chain basically, because he was having issues when he's jumping from the big ring to the little ring on climbs and his chain was dropping. But his chain's all good now. He's just knackered, so that's why his power is dropping and he's having a bit of perhaps a little bit intermittent, and he's hit a new max heart rate this evening of 182 on this event, so that's good to see. That's always good to see that you're hitting new maxes. A little bit of a tip as well: if you're using your bike on your turbo, you do sweat indoors massively more than you do outdoors. When you're outdoors, the wind wicks away a lot of the moisture, helps cool you. Your fan's nowhere near as efficient, as good as a good breeze outdoors. So some of the components suffer from indoor riding. Your bike needs regular washing still to protect it from the sweat. But you know, using some Vaseline, some light grease on the nuts and bolts and on your front derailleur, because my front derailleur is starting to seize now because of the amount of sweat that's been hitting it, and it's just been basically, sweat's incredibly corrosive for your bike. My old bike has a completely seized headset because of sweat. You can get a thong, which goes from the handlebars down to the seat post, around about £10. Acts as a sweat catcher. They generally are also waterproof, so they've got a toweled side and a waterproof area, so they'll like, you know, catch your sweat, but they'll stop it from penetrating through to the bike, and they're well worth the investment. You know, a lot of us now are spending more and more on our bikes and on our leisure time and ruining them by getting them covered in sweat when we're doing turbo sessions, although they are nicer to ride, you know, than cheap turbo bikes. But yeah, it is worthwhile investing in some protection for your bike. At the very least, just running around those nuts and bolts and whacking a little bit of that cheap grease on there just to protect them from the sweat. Boykov now, it's just they've hit their TSS target of over 100. TSS on the RGT platform at the moment is locked in at 100. It does give you a over 100 rating when you finish the event, but during the event, the new feature at the top right hand corner, which shows you your live TSS, maxes out at 100 currently. It's something that they're looking to resolve, and I believe that sometime in the near future, if you keep your eyes open on the RGT app, there's going to be notification of a new update. No dates as yet, but I believe it's not in the, it's in the not too distant future. Can't wait to see what new features are introduced. For me, the platform is performing pretty flawlessly, so can't see that they've been spending too much time on resolving bugs and things. It's doing pretty well with regards to that. So I'm hoping they've got some nice new features for us, and we'll have an in-depth deep dive into those features as soon as they're available. Boykov now, I've got 3.1 kilometers left to go. I am pretty much talked out tonight. I hope I've kept you all entertained and not bored you too much. As you see Boykov coming into the last couple of kilometers, we're going to leave the stream here. One final shout: if you do enjoy what we do on the VCN network, check out our other videos on the VCN YouTube channel and take a moment to like and subscribe. I've been Riley Harvey, this has been the VCN channel, and this event has been the PRT Handicap race. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time around for more excellent racing on an RGT platform.